Welcome to another exciting segment of Kopi events, and today with me is
Dr. Ravee Vellu.
hello, Dr. Ravee. How are you there?
Fine, fine. How are you, Anand?
I'm very good, sir.
Very
It's a
good.
great pleasure to be here in your office.
Okay, it's mutual. It's mutual.
Of course, you've been a guest speaker with Kopi events a couple of times,
Yes.
but of course, more audience are coming in right now as well. So if we can do a short introduction, then we can jump into the interview questions.
Okay, basically, I'm a mind science consultant, and my specialty is metaphysical science. So I did my bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in metaphysical science. And basically, I conduct a lot of motivational courses, counseling sessions, parapsychological counseling, therapies, and talk shows with people like you.
Thank you, Doctor. Of course, you're not someone who's speaking for the first time. You have been speaking for many years.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you,
About
Doctor.
23 years I've been doing this.
All right, Doctor. So let's jump into the question today. When you talk about metaphysics and also versus character and attitude, is there a link between metaphysics, characters, and attitude?
Definitely. Basically, metaphysics comprises of three subjects as per my understanding. It starts with psychology, it starts with philosophy, and there's an element of spirituality. So when we talk about psychology, it's basically how we think, how a character is formed, why certain personalities behave in certain manners. And to get that personalities or that soul motivated, we need a lot of philosophies in life. So we use philosophical theories to motivate. At the same time, when there's a link between the psychology and the philosophy, the third element of spirituality steps in, and how spirituality actually kinds of molds the character, the behavior of a certain person. So all in all, it is linked.
Thank you, Doctor, for that. But also linked to that same question, you also do consultation.
Yes, correct.
So what happens if someone is not willing to change? Or is it a character or is it an attitude?
Basically, whether it is a character or an attitude, there must be an element to accept changes. Because what is permanent in this world is changes, right? So for some people, it's a nature. They cannot accept changes. They always believe that whatever they feel is right, whatever they have been living all their life is correct, and they are not receptive to any changes. For some, it's an attitude. For some people, when they change, they think that they are listening to another person or someone is directing the way they are thinking, and their ego does not permit that. So they don't change. So it's actually working in both ways.
So it involves character and attitude.
Yes, both ways. Yes, correct.
Doctor, this is not something new. In most of these corporates, most of the staffs, yeah, I think it's fair to say, I think they are under stress because they have to work, bring back we said, you got to put food
Yes.
on the tables very often.
Exactly.
But apart from that, the political issues sometimes when people go through under tremendous stress because the supervisor or because the boss putting pressure, but sometimes the politicals among the team that happens where there's no synergy. Is it basically because somebody is afraid of losing jobs, so they are trying to put everybody down? It just also plays something to do with the mental resilience.
Yeah, of course, there is an element of mental resilience there because you see, everyone is trying to make a survival. Everyone is trying to impress someone in the office. Everyone is very worried about their rice bowl. There's always an element of fear when someone goes to work. Yes, as much as we are enjoying the work, we are supposed to be enjoying our job, we should be very positive about our career. There's always an element of fear that prevails in everyone. So what they does is they try to please someone. Either they have to prove themselves to the management or they have to prove themselves to the subordinate so that their rice bowl stays constant. So for that purpose, they do this kind of so-called the political elements in an office,
Right.
which is definitely not healthy.
Right.
But again, it is inevitable.
Yes. So, what will your advice be if someone is under stress, afraid of speaking up because they know if they speak up,
Yes.
probably they lose their job.
Correct.
They can't go to social media because everybody's watching. If they're going to keep it inside, will that lead to anxiety and depression? So, what will your advice?
Definitely, anything that is negative, a negative feeling, when it is bottled up, it will definitely explode one day. So it is not safe or good to keep something negative within us. So I also understand the point that you cannot be always talking to your superiors and advising them, bringing out your troubles. But you should always seek a consultant or a professional and discuss this matter with them. They might give you a solution, or even if they don't have a solution, end of the day you have a sense of relief that you spoke to somebody and somebody is willing to listen to you. That itself helps greatly.
And there's also a famous quote: "You're not a tree, so keep moving. If you don't like the place, keep moving." Will this be a good attitude? Because if you keep on changing job, it also reflects very bad on you. But if someone is going to an office and facing so much of issues, because I've spoken to a few, they tell me everything about the company, and I know what exactly the person is going through. But at the same time, the person just keep on pushing it because they know that if they don't go, they lose their job and they'll be out of work.
Of course. I understand that part of it. Yes, I always suggest to everyone that if you really can't get a hold of your job, or if you've got really serious problem with your management, you have to move on. But that should be a last resort. Not immediately, not for small things. You applied leave and your boss is saying no to the leave and you say, I want to resign. No such things.
Yeah.
What is more important is you have to realize that you cannot be always switching job. You can't do that. There will be a point of time that you have to stay to one. You have to build your career in that company, and you have to build your prospects, upgrade yourself in that company, and go to the next level. So if you want to change a job just because some negativity is happening in your office, you must be very sure that that is a last resort, not immediately. Because every office, every organization that you work for, definitely there will be a lot of ailments, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of negative, toxic environmental people. It is bound to happen. We cannot be always running away from them, because for the rest of the life we are going to be running. So we should learn how to cope with it, how to manage it, and come out from there.
Thank you, Doctor, for that. And also, Doctor, I mean, over the past few years, especially, the most common word that we are using right now, COVID. And also another most common word is mental resilience. It seems like every one of us have probably went through a kind of stress, anxiety, or even depression as well. But as of now, how do we know that someone needs help? Is it just by looking at themselves, or whether their behavior has changed? What are the indications, signs, or symptoms?
Okay, basically there are numerous indications and signs to find out whether someone is under depression or they need help. But for our conversation purpose, I can identify a few to you. Firstly, they suddenly become very quiet. They isolate themselves and they feel that they don't need to talk to anyone. That kind of isolation is out of frustration we can sense. That's the number one thing. Number two is you will see a change in their diet pattern. The way they eat, they start skipping meals, and when as colleagues we call them for lunch or dinner, they don't want to join us, and whatever we offer them, they feel like not eating. You will sense that. Thirdly, you can see an element of frustration in the conversations they make. Every sentence they make, there will be some kind of an agitation or frustration displayed. These are all the symptoms that they are going through some kind of a pain or a depression. And for the worst situations is when they always talk about death and committing suicide. That is a very serious indication that we should pay attention to.
Right. And they definitely need help.
Yes, definitely they need help.
But also, Doctor, in the society, right? I mean, I'm not sure why some really concerned about the society, right? Of course, you're doing good and great things for the society, yes. But they're always afraid, if I go for, see a counselor or psychologist, oh, I am not right. And this stigma is very strong.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
And they try to keep it to themselves, and then it's like a mirror image. You look at the mirror and you say, hey, I'm that kind of situation that I'm in. How do we overcome this stigma?
Okay, first we have to understand that a mental illness, or if we are facing some kind of a depression, sorrow, sadness, it is normal. We have to accept this. You see, if I have a headache, I'll see a doctor. They might give me a paracetamol. If I've cut my hand, I see a doctor. They do some stitches.
Yeah.
Likewise, if I feel that I'm confused, if I'm not happy with something, if I feel that some kind of a sorrow is pressing me down, which is called depression, then I definitely need a help, and I need to talk to a consultant. Whether it's a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a parapsychologist, we need to talk to someone. So we have to come to an understanding that seeking someone for our depression or sorrow is not an abnormal matter. It's very, very normal. You don't have to feel inferior, or you don't have to feel that you are a lesser being if you see a psychologist. So be open about it, be very vivid about it, and just see a consultant, no harm in it. And the people around them, especially the friends and family members, should encourage them to see one if they need. There's nothing wrong with it seeing a doctor.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's perfectly fine to get help.
definitely.
And even if you get help and see if you're seeing a counselor, if your friend sees that, or know that you go through, you shouldn't be shy.
Yes, definitely. If you have a problem and you're seeking a counselor and one of your friends asks you about that, be frank and tell them, yes, I have a problem. I'm talking to a counselor. In 2 months' time, I'll be perfectly fine. Be very blunt about it. You don't have to shy away. Yeah.
And then why they feel that, they've been judged.
You see, judgment is something that happens everywhere, every time. It's not only when you have a depression or when you're sad and you seek a counselor, you are judged. Even if you buy a luxurious car, people judge you.
That's very true.
If you sell away your luxurious car, people judge you.
Yeah.
If you change job, people judge you.
Right.
If you want to pursue your studies, people judge you. If suddenly you quit your studies halfway, people judge you.
Yeah.
Judgment is something that you're not going to escape in this world. Under any circumstances that you're living in, people will judge you. So let them judge you if you need some consultations or help for psychiatric treatments or psychological elements. Let people talk what they want to talk. Doesn't matter. So don't worry about these judgments that they're going to give. It's normal. People, a real wise people will not judge people. So if someone is judging you, that means they lack mental strength and they don't have the understanding about how a mind and brain works. That is the reason they are judging you. So don't worry about them. Not worth it.
So judging is actually perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. It's normal.
Yeah.
And it's also should be a normal not to take it so seriously.
So doctor, let's say if I am progressing in life
Uh-huh.
and somebody is judging, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing. Of course, if a person who's supportive of you and was kind of embracing the progress that you're doing,
Yeah.
they will not judge you, but they will actually compliment you
Right.
and push you up to the next
Right.
level. If they are going to judge you, that means they are not happy about the progress that you're making. Let them be. It's perfectly fine. You're not going to please everyone in this world.
Doctor, it's very interesting what you just said. You can't please everyone. I'm going to make that into a small question because today's question is all about spontaneous. Why is that if someone, even our friends or best friends or colleagues or anybody within the family or nowadays even people you don't know also doing these judgments, but if someone is progressing in life or it's coming up in life and putting a lot of hard work, that the judgment also comes as why is he blessed, why I am not.
Okay, basically this happens because of inferiority complex and lack of understanding, and these are the people who cannot count their blessings. You see, we have to understand that everyone got a different journey in life. Every soul that came to this universe or came to earth has a different purpose. But unfortunately, human mind has this tendency to compare their life with the other. So when they lack something and you are receiving it, they feel that you are blessed. But they forgot whatever they have, you don't have it too. So they can't appreciate what they really have and what they are blessed with. So people who naturally cannot feel the worth of their own life tend to get jealous, frustrated, and they need to make a comment like, how come that guy is so blessed?
Right.
So it is a kind of a mental ailment. These are the people who need actually counseling.
Right. Yeah. So doctor, so it's a bit strange how people operate nowadays, right? Why am I saying that is because in most corporate companies, of course, nowadays they have different channel of communicating, staff hours to have your own R&R and kind of stuff. But despite that, there's still a lot of anxiety and stress cases because everybody gets stressed. When this deadline and targets are not met, they got to work longer hours, work on a weekend, and so forth. So I know a particular person who's been working 7 days a week and for a period of 3 months.
Okay.
And I feel that the particular person is on a burnout.
Okay.
Because there is nothing fun about it. In that situation, how does one realize that, hey, health is important than work? But we work so much for that money and then we spend the money on the health. But how do one will have to realize, hey, this is is it? I need to take a break.
Okay. Basically, it comes with a certain sense of wisdom. Intelligence alone is not enough to understand this concept. Like I always say, do not lose all the valuable diamonds in the process of picking up glass stones. This is what happens in most cases. A lot of them think that if they work 7 days a week, 24/7, and they are making a lot of money, they are successful. But success cannot be measured with the amount of money that you make. Success should be calculated. What did you lose in the process of making that money? So if what you lost in that process weighs much more heavier than the money that you earned, then definitely this is not a success. Right. So there should be a balance in life to see that what you need for living and what you need for life. Two different things. So you work according for your living, and you also start living your life for your life.
Right.
Life means your marriage, your family, your children, your happiness. You should also live for that. So this comes with wisdom, and it comes only after certain age of realization.
Right.
That is the reason you see someone who's working very aggressively at 30 years old. The moment they are wise at 50, 55 years old, they slow down. They know that this is not what they want in their life anymore.
Can't be permanent.
Yes. So this comes with certain understanding, certain maturity and wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Doctor, in two decades back, before all this technology has evolved, now everything is within our hands, right? I can contact a friend in Russia or a friend in not India. I mean, as far as possible, even in Iceland. The communication has become so much better. Yes. Everybody is just evolving quickly. Are we putting ourselves into so much of stress in the future?
Definitely, isn't it? You see, 50 years ago, if we are in Singapore, and in 50 years ago somebody mentioned the word America to us, most probably we can only visualize America from a movie.
Yeah.
That's how we know what America is. But today, when we use the word America, is immediately you can see the entire pictures, videos of America in YouTube.
Yeah.
Right? So we are getting exposed to a lot of ideas, a lot of perceptions. We are getting exposed to a lot of information that will unconsciously create a fear in us.
Right.
So to match up to that fear, to counter that fear, and to live with the current status of this world, we naturally rush upon things.
Right.
And definitely stress will come.
Right.
Yeah, so we can't escape from this.
And another popular word, Doctor, AI. Artificial
intelligence.
Of course, it's here to help the humans. Human has created it.
Correct, yeah.
But now the question, Doctor, is, of course, it has to play a
Big
huge role
yeah.
with the mental resilience and in what field you are right now. Are we also setting up ourselves for failures? I mean, it's not a fair statement. It never can be.
Yes, yeah.
But are we, because driveless, there's no driver, but the bus and the cars can drive.
Yeah.
You don't need a chef because the machine does everything.
Work, yeah.
Robotic worlds are coming in. Doc, few months back,
Yeah.
I was at Changi. I mean, you are traveling as well. Probably I don't see aunties cleaning or uncles cleaning the Changi airport anymore. There's robots coming in. And I purposely stand in front of it and he said, "Can you please excuse me?" Those kind of stuff. So I'm actually thinking where we are right now. I mean, are we taking away the jobs from people or are we making things better?
Obviously, pros and cons to this. Like say for example, in fact our handphone is an artificial intelligence machine, right? You see, 40 years ago when we did not have a handphone with us, we memorized everyone's phone number.
Yeah, sure.
We could simply program about 50 numbers in our brain. And whenever we need to contact them, we dial the phone. But today, we don't even know what is my wife's handphone number, my husband's handphone number.
Doc, I'm going to pause you for a while. Is your missus hearing this?
So, we have to understand that we are depending on the artificial intelligence to the point where our brain is not active anymore. Right. And we are starting to accept that it is a norm that we can't memorize things. Why? Because the handphone is with me. I can always retrieve the information from there. Right. Likewise, you are saying we are depriving people of their job opportunities. Yes, it happens. Although economically it can be cost effective, we are affecting a lot of people's rice bowls. Again, like I said, it's a pros and cons. From a very humanity point of view, yes, artificial intelligence, it is a killer. But from a very economical, political point of view, we are not going to live without it anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a matter of balancing up.
You know, a couple of, I think a couple of weeks ago, I think in one of the local Indian restaurant,
Uh-huh.
the waiter didn't come and serve me.
Oh, okay.
This robot with so
Robot
many
came, huh?
trays, and it doesn't have a feature or whatever, just trolley and just coming up
Yes.
like, then he just beeps and you just take your food. So, I mean, we are losing the human
Of course,
connectivity
obviously,
there, right?
yeah.
You know, that somebody's come to you and says, you know, in Tamil or English, you know, take our orders,
Yeah.
and there's, you know, there's feeling, you know, at
There's
your
a human
meal.
touch.
Yeah, so are we losing the human touch?
Definitely. I mean, definitely. But again, the question is, who wants the human touch? Like, if you were to ask me now, if you're born in 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, maybe the 1980s, and even the early part of 1990s, if we are talking about humanity and human touch, there's some kind of emotions attached to it. But at the current situation, the youngsters, I'm not saying that everyone is without humanity, but the humanity for this generation is not compulsory. It's not needed. That is the reason when a family of 4 of them went for a dinner during the 1980s, everyone talked to each other during dinner.
Yes.
But today when you go for a dinner, you can even go to the most posh restaurant, you will see each and every family member looking at their phone while having the dinner. They hardly talk to each other. So that clearly explains that the humanity touch has decreased over time, and people are not finding it important at all to have the humanity touch. So in the next 20 or 30 years later, this situation will deteriorate further, and we will not even understand the meaning of humanity anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And more, everybody's going for dinner, but everybody is together, but they are communicating differently.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, because
They rather look
everybody's-
at the screen
Yeah.
than look at the family members' faces.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a saddening thing to see,
It's
right?
very sad.
Yeah.
But again, the sadness will be only experienced by the previous generation.
Right.
The current generation might not even understand why the sadness prevails there.
So I feel that, doctor, that a lot of people are smiling more frequently in their phone
Obviously.
rather than with humans.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
We are seeing more screen time
Uh-huh.
rather than looking at people and talking, right? So
true,
everything is becoming so, you know, distance apart. So are we?
Yes.
And this will come into our mental pressure, or we can call it stress and anxiety, and so forth, because we are losing the touch.
Definitely, but definitely. See, looking at a screen from a very biological point of view, facing the laser light continuously for hours also damages the eyes and the brain scientifically. So that also creates certain element of stress, constantly looking at the phone screens and the laser lights.
Right.
So definitely there will be an element of stress coming upon people with all this.
All right, Doctor, we are almost at 22 minutes of our podcast, a Kopi Event podcast with Dr. Ravee.
Okay.
Dr. Ravee, just one more question before we end our podcast today.
Okay.
It's about social media. And people are showing all the happy moments, happy faces. Not only for female, for male as
Males
well.
as well, yeah.
You know, looking gorgeous, beautiful, never ever seen before. And guys are like, you know, well groomed and kind of stuff. Are we living a fake life, and will that contribute to our mental resilience or mental issues?
I wouldn't say that we are living in a fake life, but we are very much carried away by the fakeness shown. Living with a fake life and being carried away with fake notions are two different things.
Right.
See, whatever we see in Facebook, you see, a husband and wife shows that they are very happy going for a holiday.
Yeah.
But to be honest, that photograph was taken for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Maybe the rest 23 hours they were fighting with each other. We don't know.
Yeah.
But we believe that
Yeah.
1 minute is their entire life.
Yeah.
So when we see that picture and we always compare that picture with our family and say how am me and my wife always fighting, this guy can go for a holiday,
Yeah.
then we are carried away by that fakeness.
Right.
And definitely this is happening and we are a part of it.
Right.
And we are the contributor as well as the receiver.
Right.
So in either ways. So the Facebook, the Instagram, the social media somehow or other displays a large amount of information that is not right, and
Right.
we are buying those ideas.
Right.
Yes.
And the other person was sitting back and, you know, thinking, why can I be like that? Why can't I buy the car? But the person didn't even have the car. Maybe you were just taking a picture.
Exactly. Yes.
So that puts a lot of pressure on these people who are watching, and maybe their morale is going down.
Yes. Yeah. You see, a simple example to what we are saying. I had a conversation with a friend a couple of years ago. He saw me driving a car, and then he asked me, how much do you pay for the car monthly? And that time I think it's about 800 to 1,000. So
Okay.
that means he said, you're owing the bank. I said, yeah. I said, do you drive? He said, no. I don't have a car and I don't owe the bank. So I'm richer than you. See how they view things?
Right.
Generally, when someone has a car, we think they're a rich person.
Right.
But is the car fully paid or you're owing the bank? The very
Right.
fact that you're owing the bank, that means this car doesn't belong to you.
Right.
It belongs to the bank.
Yes.
But a person who doesn't have that car
Right.
is much richer than you because he doesn't owe anyone.
Right.
Right? So this is where the reality and fakeness comes in, and we should be very careful. What are we falling for?
Right.
Yeah.
So, Doctor, I mean, from this conversation, what we understand that, be very original and do not, put two kind of phases.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Where you're not, but then you're showing the social media.
Yes.
And then that can also lead to stress and anxieties and.
Exactly, definitely, right? I mean, you see, we have to understand that everyone's life is blessed in one way or another. Instead of comparing our life with others and asking why others are getting certain things that we are not getting, sit down, analyze your life for a moment, and treasure all those things that you have received in your life. Trust me, if you really sit down and write down all those things that you have received in your life, it can be consolidated into a book. But we always take things for granted on what we have already received, and our mind is always looking for what we are lacking. And that is where the stress and problem starts in our life. So learn to look at your life. We are actually blessed, especially as Singaporeans. 95% of us got a roof when we are going to sleep. We have 3 meals a day somehow or other. Majority of us got a job to do, and we are living in a safe society. So embrace that first before asking why another party is having a holiday in Switzerland.
Well said, Doctor. I mean, when we sleep, we don't have any fear.
Yes,
Who's coming
correct.
into our waters or who's coming to our sky, our land are protected.
You don't have to worry when you wake up in the morning whether there'll be water running in your tap.
Yeah.
98% it will be running, unlike in other countries, right? So learn to appreciate all these good things that we have first. Life will be peaceful.
We are blessed. Very well said, Dr. Ravee. Thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you,
almost 27 minutes into the Kopi
nice.
with Vance podcast.
All right.
We will catch you again on the next segment. Till then, this is Dr. Ravee.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'll get you then. See ya.